Hi there, wherever you are tonight, whether you're curled up in bed or letting your mind drift while the world slows down. I'm so glad you're here. Outside your window, maybe there's a breeze, maybe not. But for now, you can imagine one, soft and ancient, carrying with it the scent of earth warmed by centuries of sun, the kind of breeze that once whispered through reed huts, along a river that still remembers. Just take a breath, not too deep, just enough to notice the air around you. And know that this moment, this stillness is yours. If you feel like it, leave a comment. Tell me where you're listening from, or what time it is where you are, but no pressure. Tonight's story is gentle, a day that may seem ordinary, but held entire lives within it. You'll step into the rhythm of a world long gone, where survival meant heat and hunger, but also laughter, and rituals, and hope. And yes, everything you'll hear tonight really happened, pieced together from quiet fragments of history. So now, just close your eyes and let's begin our walk through a single day in ancient Egypt. If you open your eyes and everything around you feels unfamiliar, that's all right. There's no glass on the windows, no hum of electricity, just the golden morning light pouring through an opening in the wall, spreading across the floor made of hard-packed earth. The air is already warm, not yet scorching, but dry, and it clings to your skin like a memory. You're lying on a woven mat, rough, a little itchy, covered by a linen sheet that's more tradition than comfort. All around you, silence, not the modern kind, but something older, something that hums quietly with the weight of time. Outside, the village is stirring. You can hear distant braying, the flap of wings, a low rustle of feet against sand. But inside this room, there's still a moment of stillness just for you. The walls are made of sun-dried mud bricks, the ceiling supported by palm beams. A small clay jar in the corner holds water from yesterday, lukewarm by now, but precious. You sit up slowly, feeling the stiffness in your back, as if your body has borrowed its weight from the earth itself. There's dust on your fingers, there's dust on everything. Even the air feels like it's carrying a fine veil of it, like a curtain between you and the sun. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster calls, not sharp, more like a reminder the day has begun, whether you're ready or not. You step onto the floor. It's cool for now, but soon it will feel like baked clay. You wrap a piece of linen around your body. It's soft in the way a well-used cloth becomes soft, thin, from washings but familiar. No mirror, no light bulb, just your reflection caught in a shallow bowl of water as you lean in to splash your face. The water is not cold, is never cold here, but it helps a little. Your hair is tied back without a thought. Your hands move without needing to ask. You've done this before, not just yesterday, but for years, for lifetimes. The air smells faintly of ashes and reed smoke and something sweet left over from last night's fire. Outside the door, the light grows stronger, not gentle anymore, but bold. The kind that doesn't ask permission. You push open the wooden door and it creaks in protest. And just like that, the heat greets you like an old friend, not one you enjoy, but one who never fails to show up. The sun is already high, already burning. Shadows are short. The ground crunches beneath your feet. You don't have shoes, most don't. The path is narrow, bordered by walls that crumble a little more each year. But there is something steady in this too, something that tells you this world may not be soft, but it is known. You pass your neighbour's home, a small boy waves, and you smile without words. The two of you are part of something bigger, older, and you both know it without needing to say so. You reach the corner of the village, where the breeze sometimes finds its way in. Not today. Today the air is still. Even the flies move slowly, as if the sun presses down on their wings. But there's work to do. There's always work. You keep walking past the narrow alley, past the woman grinding grain, her arms moving in rhythm with the stones, past the donkey that never looks surprised. Everything here has seen everything already. And yet, somehow, each morning still feels like a beginning. Maybe not a fresh one, but a beginning just the same. And as you step forward into the heat, into the dust, into the life that is waiting for you, you carry something quiet, a rhythm, a memory, a softness under all the harshness. You carry yourself, and that, in this world, is everything. The sun has no patience here. It doesn't wait for noon. It doesn't ask if you've eaten yet, or if you slept well, or if your back still aches from yesterday. It simply arrives all at once, with a kind of confidence that no one questions. You feel it pressing against your skin the moment you step outside, a warmth that grows sharper, heavier, until it wraps around you like a second body. The linen on your back clings already damp at the edges. There's no breeze, just dryness, and the slow awareness that this is only the beginning. You walk toward the common path, behind the houses, your feet brushing against dust, smoothed by years of passing. The ground is packed firm, but your soles still feel every pebble, every crack. Your toes are already collecting powdery grit, and yet you don't stop. There's nothing unusual in it. It's just another morning. At the far end of the row, the woman with the loud laugh is kneading dough. Her arms move in steady rhythm, palms pressing, folding, turning again and again like a drum beat. You hear the slap of dough on stone, the low sound of humming. She doesn't greet you with words, only with a glance and a raised brow that says you're late. But she smiles. Everyone is late, really. That's what mornings feel like here, like you're always catching up with the sun. You move past her and toward the edge of the courtyard, where the clay oven sits, a dome of earth, darkened by smoke and years. One small loaf is already baking inside. The smell is rich, a little sour, and comforting in its own way. Your stomach grumbles quietly. You haven't eaten yet, and the thought of bread, even if it's gritty, even if it tastes like stone, brings a familiar kind of hunger. Not desperation, just habit. Beside the oven, a jug of beer sits in the shade. You know it well. It's not the kind of beer you'd sip slowly. It's thick, cloudy, almost a meal in itself, warmed by the air, flavoured with thyme and yeast, and the hope that it's safe to drink. You take a mouthful. It's bitter, sour, really, but it fills your mouth like porridge, and when you swallow, it settles in your belly like a small weight, enough to keep you standing. Around you, the village breathes. Children laugh nearby, chasing one another with hands full of sand. A woman sharpens a blade against a worn stone, her eyes narrowed. An old man sits cross-legged beside his doorway, shaping clay with fingers that tremble but never miss. And above all of it, the sky, vast, pale, endless. It doesn't shine here. It blazes. You move again, your body, remembering the tasks even if your mind floats. You take a small pot, fill it with water from a larger jar, heavy cool on your palms, and pour it gently over a bundle of greens pulled from the earth yesterday. The leaves wilt a little. So do you, but you keep going. In the distance, someone calls out. Not urgently, just a name. A reminder. Maybe for you, maybe not. You can't tell. Sound travels strangely in the morning. Sometimes it feels like it's coming from within your own chest. You kneel beside the low wall and start scrubbing a piece of cloth against a smooth stone. The motion is circular, almost soothing, until your shoulders begin to ache. The cloth is stained, not from anything terrible, just life, dust, smoke, oil. You scrub harder, watching the suds disappear into the dirt beneath you. Soap doesn't exist, not really. Just sand and effort and repetition. And then there's a pause, just long enough for you to look up and notice the way the light falls across the opposite wall. A soft curve of gold, dust floating like threads of memory. In that moment, there's quiet. Not silence, never silence, but something gentler, a kind of softness beneath the day's weight. You close your eyes for a second longer than usual. You breathe in and taste the air. It's dry. Of course it is. But there's something sweet beneath it, perhaps from the date palms nearby, or maybe just your imagination. You open your eyes again. There's more to do. There's always more. But for now, you sit. You rest your hands on your lap. You let the cloth drip beside you unnoticed. And you think not about work, not about the sun, not about time, but about how strangely beautiful it all is. In its roughness, in its routine, in its refusal to be anything but what it is. Even if it's only morning and the day hasn't truly begun, you're already living it. The woman with the grinding stone gestures for you to come closer. She's older, not by much, but enough that her hands move with a kind of authority. She doesn't speak as you sit beside her, just pushes a small bowl your way. Crushed barley and lentils, nothing fancy but enough. You take a pinch, press it between your fingers. It smells faintly of smoke and sun. It tastes bland, earthy, but there's something in it that feels like home. She tells you half whisper, half laugh that the grain this year is stingy, too dry, too stubborn. You nod. Everyone already knows, but saying it out loud makes it feel lighter, somehow. She spits in the dust and says, maybe the gods are testing her patience. You smile. Maybe they are, maybe they always have. The sun is higher now. It's no longer something you feel, it's something you carry. A heaviness on your shoulders, your neck, the backs of your knees. Your skin tingles, not from heat alone, but from friction, from movement, from simply existing beneath this kind of sky. You fetch a small basket, worn at the handles, and start sorting through reeds gathered the day before. Some are too brittle, some too thick. You break a few by accident. Your hands are not clumsy, just tired. No one comments. Everyone's hands are the same, marked with small cuts, darkened with dust, strong, without needing to prove it. Across the path, someone is sweeping, not to make things clean, but to push the sand aside, long enough to see the ground beneath. It's a futile task. You know it. They know it. But still, it gets done. That's the rhythm here. Things return, dust returns, heat returns. But so do people. So do mornings. So do you. The children who had been playing earlier are now carrying bundles of sticks. They struggle beneath the weight, but their eyes are sharp, alert. in ways they don't yet understand. One of them drops a branch, then another. You move to help, and the child scowls. Pride begins early here. You pretend not to notice and let them pick it up themselves. You walk toward the well not far, but the journey feels longer than it is. Your legs are sore, your back complains, but your arms know what to do. You lower the bucket with care, hear the splash, feel the tug as the rope tightens. When it comes up, the water is cool, impossibly so. You touch your lips to the rim, take a sip. It tastes of clay, of deep time, of things buried and drawn back into the light. The road that runs along the edge of the village is still quiet, but soon it won't be. Traders will pass donkeys loaded with jars and cloth voices, carrying stories from further down the river. You'll hear things, rumours, prices, names you'll never remember. But for now, there's just the sound of sandals scuffing against sand. You walk back slowly. The air smells of grain husks and ash. Somewhere someone is sharpening a sickle. The rasp of stone against metal cuts through the heat, sharp, steady, patient. Like the people here, you think about resting. Just for a moment, there's a shaded spot near the side wall where the sun hasn't reached yet. You sit. The stone is rough beneath you, but cool. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to stop seeing for a moment, to feel everything else. The sound of birds, the creak of wood, the rustle of a woven curtain moving slightly in the breathless air. Someone sings, a low melody, no words. It fades almost as soon as it begins. You wonder if it was real. You open your eyes again. The light has changed, shadows have shifted, and something in you shifts too, small, unnoticed, but real. You stand, you stretch, your joints pop softly. There is no schedule here, no alarm, just the push of time, quiet, invisible, steady. It's still morning, but the day is beginning to press its weight. Your next stop is the animal pen, a space made of bent wood and rope, nothing elegant, but enough to hold. The goats look up at you, expressionless, chewing, as if they've been chewing since the beginning of time. One of them lets out a soft, surprised bleat. As you step inside, you scatter handfuls of chopped stalks, grain husks, bits of dry greens, and they gather without fuss, without rush. They don't thank you, but they stay close. That's their version of gratitude. You check the water jar near the fence, almost empty. You sigh not in frustration, but in resignation, the kind that lives deep in your bones. So you lift the jar carefully and begin the walk back to refill it. It's heavier this time, not because of the distance, but because the humidity is building and the light is shifting. The world around you seems brighter somehow, as if the sun is not just above you, but inside you, threading through your chest, behind your eyes, under your skin. When you finally reach the corner where the well stands, there's already a small group waiting. They nod at you, you nod back. No one speaks much. Words are saved for cooler hours. You rest the jar beside your feet, rub your palms against your dress, and wait your turn. A girl not more than 10 pulls the rope with practiced hands. Her jaw clenched, her body small, but her will steady. The bucket crests the edge and spills slightly, sending droplets dancing across the ground. One lands on your toe. It feels like a blessing. You fill your jar, slowly, carefully. Each drop is precious. Not because it's rare, but because it's earned. You cap it with a woven lid and lift it again, this time, balancing it against your hip. It presses into your side, an ache already blooming, but you don't adjust. The weight is familiar. It keeps you upright. It gives you purpose. You walk slower. On the return, your feet slipping slightly in the loose sand. A beetle scuttles past, dragging a piece of something twice its size. You stop to watch for a moment. Its legs twitch. Its path is crooked, but it keeps going. That too feels familiar. At the pen, the goats crowd again, their patience short. You pour the water into a shallow dish, step back and watch as they drink. Their mouths move quickly. One snorts and pulls away. Another shoves forward. But the water is enough, for now. You lean against the fence, just for a moment. Your breath is faster than before. You close your eyes, and behind them, the light glows red. The sun is everywhere. A wind picks up, faint, almost imagined. It moves the hem of your garment. It stirs the top of your hair. You feel it pass like a thought you meant to remember, but didn't. Somewhere behind you, a clay pot cracks, sharp, sudden. Someone swears. Someone else laughs. A child shrieks with glee, and then everything settles again. You walk back toward your home, passing a row of baskets drying in the sun, woven tight, their edges curling just slightly. One of them is yours. You run your fingers along its rim, feel the texture, the slight stick of dried sap, the memory of hours spent twisting reeds until they held. Inside the doorway, the air is cooler. Not cold, never cold, but shaded, relieved. You set the jar down, roll your shoulders back. The ache is deeper now, but not unpleasant. It reminds you that you've done something, that you are alive. That morning has become noon. You dip a cloth into the water jar and press it against your face. The wetness clings. The softness of it makes you pause. Not because it surprises you, but because it's rare and beautiful. And just for a moment, in that dim light, with the heat quieting and your heart slowing, you let yourself stop. Just stop. The day is far from over, but this little pause is yours, and no one can take it. The path to the river isn't far, but it feels longer than it looks. The ground dips slightly, not enough to notice at first, but your legs know. Every step presses against the same muscles you used an hour ago. The jar in your arms isn't full yet, but already you feel its weight pulling gently at your balance. That's how days move, here not in sudden shifts, but in steady resistance. In the quiet pressure of repetition, you pass the fig tree by the edge of the courtyard. Its leaves tremble with a breeze you can't feel. A bird calls out once, then again, and then nothing. The sound disappears into the air, swallowed by heat. You keep walking. Ahead, a line of women moves slowly in the same direction, bare feet, steady steps, cloth wrapped around their heads or shoulders, arms cradling jars shaped for this very task. No one speaks loudly. Words in the morning are soft, cautious, almost sacred, but when someone does laugh, and someone always does, it cuts through the stillness like sunlight catching water. You fall in step beside a woman you've known since you were small. She doesn't turn to look at you. She doesn't need to. The way her hip shifts as she walks, the way her elbow brushes yours lightly, it's all a greeting either of you needs. You've walked this way 1,000 times, and somehow every time still matters. The dirt beneath your feet changes as you near the bank, from packed and dusty to looser, more giving, laced with bits of shell and dry grass. It clings to your toes. The scent of the river reaches you before the water itself, warm mud, sun-warmed algae, something sweet you can't quite name. Maybe papyrus, maybe memory. At the water's edge, the light shifts. It reflects, it plays, the surface ripples softly, catching the sky in pieces. And beneath it, centuries. You kneel careful not to spill. Your jar dips slightly, lips breaking the surface with a hollow sound. The water slides in slowly swirling, like silk, heavy, cool, alive. When it's full, you lift it, cradle it against your hip again. The same side, the same ache, but also the same balance. The woman beside you adjusts the strap across her shoulder. Sighs not with complaint, just awareness. She says something about the reeds growing too fast this season. You nod, not because you agree, but because you like the way her voice sounds quiet and familiar, like a lullaby you forgot you remembered. As you turn back toward the village, the sun strikes the side of your face. It stings. Just a little. Not painful, just sharp. You squint, adjust your grip. The jar leaves a pattern of dust against your skin. A younger girl stumbles ahead of you. Her jar slips, tips, spills, not all just enough to matter. She freezes, looks down. Her eyes widen, her mouth starts to tremble. You catch up slowly, crouch beside her, and without a word lift her jar gently. Not to shame, not to fix, just to help. She looks at you uncertain. You smile soft, quick, real. And then she breathes again. You walk together the rest of the way, not as mother and child, not as teacher and student, but as two bodies in the same river of time, carrying the same weight. By the time you return, the path behind you is marked not by footsteps, but by presence. The air you moved through still holds your shape for a moment longer, then lets it go. The dust that clung to your skirt begins to fall again, as if nothing ever happened. But something did. You walked, you carried, you came back, and there's a kind of quiet magic in that. You lift the jar from your hip and place it in a shade beside your doorway. The movement is small, practiced, but your muscles remember it. Your arms hum faintly with the pattern of effort. Your hands feel raw at the edges. Not pain, just a low ache that says you are alive. You are useful. Inside the house holds stillness, not the kind that waits, but the kind that understands. The mat is where you left it. The folded cloth hasn't moved. A bowl of dates sits on the low ledge, soft and warm, from the morning sun. You take one slowly. The sweetness is deep, almost dusty, as if the tree itself had grown from memory. It sticks to your teeth, to your fingers, to the moment. You wipe your hands on the edge of your dress and step back outside. The woman from the river passes by with her son trailing behind. He's dragging a stick through the dust, leaving crooked lines like writing no one can read. She tells him to stop. He doesn't. But she doesn't repeat herself. There's a shared understanding between them, between all of you. A kind of rhythm that doesn't need explaining. You walk toward the grinding stone. There's barley to crush. Not much, but enough to keep your hands busy, to keep time moving. You kneel, settle your weight, and begin. The stone is cool beneath your palms. The grain resists at first, then gives way, slowly. The sound it makes is steady, like distant thunder, without the storm. You don't need to think. Your body remembers. Your shoulders sway slightly. Your breath follows the motion. In, press, out, shift. Again, beside you, someone hums. The tune is old. You don't know the words, maybe there are none, but the melody drifts over you like shade. like a breeze that doesn't touch your skin but cools you anyway. A neighbor offers you a sip of water from her cup. You take it, nod in thanks. It tastes of clay and river and a kind of humility that no one names, but everyone understands. She doesn't stay. She moves on hands, full eyes, focused the way women do when they've lived long enough to walk through heat without flinching. The sun shifts, not in brightness, but in angle. Shadows begin to lengthen, though the light still burns. You pause, stretch your fingers, brush the grains from your skirt. Your knees crack as you stand. Nothing new, nothing wrong, just time making itself known. You look around, everything seems still, and yet you know it isn't. The birds have changed places. The goats are sleeping now, pressed against the wall where the heat is least. The leaves on the fig tree barely move, but they are different than they were this morning, and so are you. Back at the house, you check the pot near the door, still cool. You dip your fingers, press them to your neck, your wrists. The touch brings a kind of softness to your breath, a reminder that the world isn't only dry and hard. It has water, it has shade, it has you. Someone passes, carrying a basket of herbs, mint, onion, tops, maybe something else. The scent follows them like a whisper. You breathe it in, let it settle, let it rest inside you a moment longer than it needs to. And then you return to your hands, to the stone, to the motion, to the work. Because here life doesn't pause for long. But in the space between the sun and the shade, between one breath and the next, you find a kind of silence that doesn't ask anything of you. It simply lets you be. The stone is warm now. The ground beneath you is no longer cool. Everything that once offered comfort has begun to fade, not disappear, just soften like cloth worn thin from use. You rise again, slowly, not because you're weak, but because this world teaches patience in every motion. You look toward the edge of the village where the river glimmers in broken light. A man passes, balancing a bundle of rushes on his back. His eyes are low-focused. You know him, but you don't wave. You don't need to. That's how people are here, stitched together not by conversation, but by a shared dust, a shared sun, a shared silence. In the shade of a wall, a woman sings to her child. Not a lullaby, exactly, just a sound made soft by care. Her voice rises and falls like the air itself. The baby doesn't sleep, but it doesn't cry either. It listens the way people do when they haven't yet learned to be distracted. You pass a boy drawing shapes in the sand with his toe. He looks up at you, then down again. His lines don't mean anything, and yet they mean everything. They say, I was here, and really, isn't that what everyone wants? At home, you reach for the water jar again, not because you're thirsty, but because holding it feels familiar. The weight is known. It tells you something is in your hands, something useful, something real. You pour just enough into a clay bowl, dip a cloth and run it across the rim of the doorway. Dust comes away easily. You wipe again and again until the edge gleams, not because it has to, but because it can. The light shifts again. You feel it even with your eyes closed. The world outside continues, but inside there is a gentleness that belongs only to this hour. The quiet just before the real heat begins, when the air is heavy but still merciful. You sit near the wall, back resting against clay. Your legs stretch forward, and for a moment you do nothing, nothing at all. There's no rush, no call, no name being shouted, just this stillness, the moment between two things. A breath, not taken yet, but waiting. You think about the morning, the walk, the water, the hands that brushed against yours, the girl who spilled her jar, the laugh you almost forgot to laugh. They're all part of the same thread now, woven into you, carried like everything else. The goats rustle in the pen again. A faint bleat, a soft thud. Life continues. You let it. Far off a bell rings, not loud, not urgent, just enough to remind everyone that the sun has moved and the day is different now. But in here, in this shadowed room, everything is the same. And that sameness, that familiarity, is a kind of peace. You lean your head back, let your eyes close, not to sleep, not yet, just to feel. The bowl of water sits beside you, half full, half empty, completely yours. Your feet are dusty, your hands ache, but your heart is quiet, and that is enough. The sun is no longer rising, it rains. From the center of the sky, it watches everything, casting no shadows that offer mercy. And you, like everyone else, move beneath its gaze with a kind of quiet obedience. There's no use fighting it. You simply learn to walk differently, slower, smaller, with your breath held just a moment longer than before. You lift the basket of wheat carefully, not because it's fragile, but because your arms have already carried so much today. The grain shifts as you move, whispering against the woven walls like 1,000 tiny voices. Some spill over the edge. You don't stop to collect them. The ground will take them. Maybe birds, maybe time. The path to the storehouse lies just beyond the courtyard, a winding stretch of baked earth bordered by low stone walls that do little to block the heat. Every few steps, you pass someone else, each of them carrying, lifting, turning, but never rushing. The heat punishes impatience. You pass a man pressing clay into brick molds. His fingers move with slow purpose, each press deliberate. Sweat runs down his arms, carving paths through the dust. He doesn't look up. Not because he doesn't see you, but because he knows you see him. That's enough. Further ahead, 2 boys dig shallow trenches along the field's edge. Their movements are clumsy, half-hearted. One of them sighs loudly, earning a gentle scolding from the older woman nearby. She tells him to respect the gods, even when he's tired, especially when he's tired. The boy nods, mutters something, and returns to work. You reach the storehouse. The door is made of palm trunks tied with rope, worn smooth by hands. You set your basket down just outside and pause to wipe your brow. The cloth you use is damp with old sweat. The relief is faint, but welcome. Inside, the air smells of grain and cool stone. Your steps echo slightly as you walk to the back corner, where other baskets rest in stacked rows. Some are older, fraying at the edges, mended with care. You place yours among them, adjusting it slightly to keep it upright. For a moment, you just stand there, in the shade, in the quiet, in the presence of something older than you can name. You don't speak. No one does here. This is where the offerings sleep. Outside, the light is brighter now, not just hot, but radiant. You squint as you step back out. The village seems to pulse with the rhythm of survival. Every motion you see, every lifted pot, every turned tool, every bent back is a prayer. Not spoken, not sung, just lived. You walk toward Temple Path, not because you're expected, but because today, like every day, there's something to leave behind. A piece of bread, a flower, a breath. The gods don't ask for much, only everything. The temple rises like a story, carved from stone, heavy and still wrapped in the scent of incense and old fire. You don't enter. Not yet. You stand at the threshold, letting your feet cool against the shaded steps. A priest walks by, robes fluttering lightly, eyes focused on something beyond your sight. He doesn't nod, but the air around him changes thicker, slower. That's the kind of power people respect here. Not because it commands, but because it never has to. You step closer. The wall beside the door bears images Ra in his boat, sailing across the sky. Eyes wide, watching, always watching. You trace a finger along the carved lines. The stone is hot beneath your touch, and for a moment, you wonder what it's like to be watched by a god who never blinks. You step through the entrance, and the air shifts. It's darker here, not just in light, but in feeling. The sun outside may be blinding, but in this place, it's forgotten. The walls swallow sound, the temperature drops, and your breath feels heavier, like it needs permission to rise. Inside, a woman kneels beside a low altar. Her hands are open, empty, still. She doesn't move when you pass, and you don't disturb her. Everyone comes here for different reasons. Some to ask, some to thank, some to simply be reminded that they are small. And that smallness is sacred. You place your offering at the base of a carved pillar, a simple reed flower tied with linen. Not valuable, not rare, but it was yours. And now it's not. That too is a kind of prayer. The priest murmurs something behind you. Not to you, not even for you. His words belong to the walls, to the gods, to time. You listen anyway, letting the sound roll over your skin like warm water. You don't understand every phrase. You don't need to. The point isn't meaning, it's reverence. A small group gathers near the far corner, lighting bits of resin in clay bowls. The smoke rises slowly, curling upward, then disappearing. You watch it not because it's interesting, but because it's the only thing moving. Everything else is still. You close your eyes. For a moment, nothing happens, and then everything does. The smell of incense deepens. The quiet becomes a sound of its own. Your heartbeat slows, matches the pace of the temple, and the air itself feels like it's breathing with you. When you open your eyes again, the light has shifted. A shaft of sunlight has made its way through a high slit in the wall, catching the edge of a statue's cheek. Gold flickers, not brightly, but with subtle insistence. You bow your head slightly, not out of habit, but because it feels right. You step outside, and the sun greets you again, unforgiving, unwavering. You squint, adjust your shoulders. The heat feels heavier now, after the shelter of stone, but your body remembers it, accepts it, becomes it. On your way back through the village, you pass a boy hauling clay jars on a small sled. The rope digs into his palm, but he doesn't let go. His eyes are sharp, not angry, just focused. You step aside so he can pass. He doesn't thank you. He doesn't need to. Everyone here knows what effort looks like. You walk toward the canal where a small crew is patching one of the embankments. The water here moves slowly, not stagnant but steady. You crouch near the edge, dip your fingers in. It's warm, cloudy, alive. You scoop a handful toward your face and let it drip through your hands. It leaves behind more dirt than it takes away. The woman beside you nods toward the sky. No clouds, no shade, just a relentless blue. She says something about the gods not blinking, and you both smile. It's not really a joke, but it feels like one. You stand again. Your feet leave shallow impressions in the mud. Not deep enough to last. But for now, they're there. As you head home, the weight of the sun returns. But so does your pace. So does the ritual of walking, of carrying, of believing, because here, under the eye of Ra, everything is seen, and everything, every step, every breath, every offering matters. You reach the edge of the field just as a group of workers begins clearing the brush. The sun glints off their backs, their arms moving in synchronized arcs, not graceful but practiced. You join them without needing instruction. Your hands find the right tool, your body falls into the same rhythm, your breath folds into theirs. And suddenly, you're part of something, not grand, not glorious, but deeply human. You clear thorned vines from the edge of the crop. They catch on your dress, scratch at your legs. You don't flinch. The ache in your shoulders, the sting on your skin, they are part of the ritual now, part of the sacrifice of keeping things alive. Around you, no one talks. It's too hot, too loud with the presence of the sun. But every now and then, someone hums, just a single line of a song, repeated once, twice, and then forgotten. The sound fades into the air like water into sand. You pause to drink. The cup is passed without ceremony. It tastes of straw, of clay, of someone else's hand. But it's cool. And when you hand it back, no one says anything. There is no need. The act speaks for itself. As the field clears, the lines of the earth begin to show rows upon rows of hope carved into dirt. You walk along them, trailing your fingers just above the soil. It's dry now, but ready. It remembers water. It always does. A shadow passes, overhead, a falcon maybe, or just your imagination. Either way, you look up. The sky doesn't change, but for a moment, your mind does. You think of Ra again, not just as a god, but as a presence, an order, a truth that rises, burns and descends every day without fail. And you and your small movements, your dusty skin, your quiet heart are part of that order. You exist because of it. You endure because of it. Someone calls from the edge of the field a signal, time to stop. Not because the work is done, but because the body needs rest. You walk back in silence. Your legs ache, your hands are scraped, but your chest feels steady and full. At home, the first thing you notice is the shadow along the far wall longer than before, cooler. The air inside greets you like a friend who's missed you all day, not with noise, with quietness, with a kind of stillness that feels earned. You sit on the mat, lean back slowly and stretch your legs. The ground is hard, but your spine sinks into it anyway. Your body trusts in the shape it's taken. A child calls outside, a pot cracks, a bird lands on the roof, then flies off again. These things happen around you, but don't disturb you. They are part of the music of late day, a warmth that holds you rather than scorches. You reach for a small cloth and wipe your face. The dampness on your forehead is gone. Only salt remains. You don't mind. It tastes like truth. As the light fades, the room grows golden. Dust drifts through the beams, catching what little sun remains. You breathe in, then out, slowly. You think again of the eye in the sky, of the way it saw everything, and still does. You think of your offering, the reed flower, and wonder if it's still there, or if the gods have taken it, or if maybe it was never about the object at all. Maybe it was about the moment you gave it, and maybe that's enough. Because here, under the gaze of ancient things, your life with its sweat, its slowness, its simplicity, is more than survival. It's faith in motion, it's a story told without words, and it's yours. By now, the sun has stopped climbing. It hovers instead, still powerful, waiting. Not cruel, just constant. The village quiets under its eye, not from fear, from wisdom. This is the hour when everything slows, not because it wants to, but because it must. You sit in the narrow strip of shade beside your home. The wall is warm against your back. The ground beneath you is hot, but not enough to burn. Only enough to remind you where you are. Your breath moves slower now. So does your mind. You're not asleep, but not fully awake either. A plate of bread rests near your knee. The loaf is hard, dense. You break it with effort, each crack louder than expected in the stillness. You chew slowly, carefully. The bread scratches the inside of your mouth, but you keep eating. There is no butter, no oil, just grain and time. It tastes like dust and heat and effort. And strangely, like home, beside the bread, a small clay jar holds the last of the morning beer. Warm now, flat, but wet. You sip once, then again. You're not thirsty, but it fills the space between thoughts. A fly lands on your arm. You don't brush it away. It stays for a heartbeat, then leaves. In the distance, someone laughs. Not loud, more like a sigh turned upward. You smile without realizing. The moment holds itself open, like a doorway you don't have to walk through. Nearby, a girl sleeps under a piece of woven cloth stretched across two jars. Her face is relaxed, peaceful, mouth slightly open. Her sandals lie beside her feet, neatly placed. She dreams of something. You don't know what, but the stillness around her makes you believe it's beautiful. A breeze begins to stir, faint but real. It carries with it the scent of ash, dry grass, and something sharp like crushed mint or torn leaves. You close your eyes and let it pass over your face. It's not relief, not yet, but it's a promise. The goat in the pen stirs, shifts, then settles again. Dust rises, then falls. Someone walks past with a basket of bread covered by a linen cloth. She nods to you. You nod back. The cloth flutters slightly, revealing the rough edges of the loaves beneath. None are perfect. All are enough. You lean your head against the wall, eyes half closed, and for a while, nothing happens. And that this stillness becomes the most sacred thing of all. The sun begins to shift just slightly, not enough to cool the air, but enough to change the angle of the light. The shadows stretch longer across the dust, reaching for corners they'd left untouched all morning. You notice this not with your eyes, but with your skin. The wall behind you grows warmer. The air loses what little crispness it had. You press your palms into the ground, feeling the clay beneath solid, cracked, stubborn. You know it, like you know your own heartbeat. Even in its dryness, there is life. Even in its heat, there is memory. Someone nearby hums a song with no words. It drifts into the space between buildings, slow and low. You can't place it, but it feels old. Older than you, older than the village. Like something the wind used to sing before people learned to speak. You stand stretching your arms above your head. The motion pulls at your shoulders. A soft ache radiates down your spine. Not pain, just fatigue. It reminds you that your body has moved through this day, this heat, this time, and somehow it still carries you. You walk to the corner of your home, where the water jar sits in shadow. Its rim is dusty. You wipe it gently with your fingers. Then you dip a cup, drink slowly. The water is no longer cool, but still soothing, earthy, round, honest. It fills more than your mouth. It settles your breath. Across the way, a man sharpens a blade, the rasp of stone against metal, carving a soft rhythm in the air. He doesn't look up. He doesn't need to. That sound, the repeated drag, speaks louder than words. It says, the day continues. A child giggles nearby, then falls silent. The silence after laughter is always the deepest. It leaves behind a hush that feels like prayer. You step toward the edge of the courtyard, watching the way dust clings to sunlight. The particles dance, suspended like time, paused. A woman passes, carrying a basket of onions. She limps slightly, one knee, slower than the other, but she moves with purpose. You smile at her. She doesn't return it, but her eyes soften. That's enough. Back in the house, the mat lies untouched, the same way you left it. There's comfort in that, in the constancy of simple things. You sit again, not because you're tired though you are, but because the air has changed. There's a sense of waiting now. Not for something specific, but for whatever comes next. You hear someone calling faint, not urgent. A name you recognize, but not yours. You let the sound pass through you like a breeze. You're not needed, not yet. You place your hands on your knees, let your eyes trace the patterns in the clay wall. Tiny cracks, faint stains, smudges made by years of living. Every mark is a story. Every corner is a memory, and all of it is familiar. You breathe in, you breathe out, and in that breath you find patience, you find yourself in the waiting. Outside, the sun is beginning to lean westward, its light turning thicker, richer, as if it too is growing tired. The village breathes with it. Movements slow even more. Voices hush. Shadows stretch. You gather the used cloth from earlier, the one dampened for your brow, and rinse it gently in the wash basin. The water runs cloudy for a moment, then clear. You fold the cloth once, then again, smoothing the corners even though no one will see. That's what tradition is. Not grand gestures, just small, faithful repetitions that hold the world together. A neighbor walks by with a bundle of herbs tied in twine. Basil, you think, and maybe something bitter for the stomach. She glances toward your doorway, nods slightly, then continues. The air she leaves behind smells of green things, crushed roots, and memory. The goats begin to stir again, restless with the shifting light. You hear one knock its head softly against the post. It's not impatience, just instinct. They too know the day is turning. You check the mat one last time, straighten a fold, tap dust from its edge. The gesture is almost ceremonial, as if tidiness could summon peace. A child calls in the distance, not in fear, just the way children do when they want to be known. A soft answer follows. Then silence. The breeze returns, carrying a cooler scent, now like distant water or the breath of the reeds. You sit near the threshold, half in light, half in shade. The earth beneath you is warm. The wall behind you is solid. Your body is tired, yes, but steady. You glance at the sky, no clouds, just that deep, unbroken gold that promises evening. It doesn't rush, neither do you. You rest your chin on your knees, wrap your arms around them loosely, not to protect, just to hold. A woman passes, carrying a bowl of grain. She walks as if balancing the sun itself, slow, deliberate, sure. You admire her, though you've seen her every day of your life. Some people carry gentleness, like other people carry fire. Inside, the shadows grow longer. You let them. You think again of the bread, the dust, the silence, none of it dramatic, but all of it real. You belong here not because you chose it, but because the world made space for you, in its heat, in its slowness, in its rhythm, and now in its softness. You close your eyes not to sleep, but to trust the world enough to be still within it. Because sometimes the most sacred silence is the one you don't try to fill. Evening doesn't fall all at once. It drifts. It hums low at first, slipping between buildings, tucking itself under doorways, softening the edges of everything it touches. You don't notice the change until your skin tells you the heat is leaving. Not gone, just loosening its grip. A kind of release, a kind of hush. You step outside again, bare feet on warm earth, the clay still holding sunlight like memory. The village has shifted, not in shape, but in sound. There's less motion, more listening. The kind of atmosphere where people speak only if the words are worth breaking the quiet for. In the distance you hear a flute, just a few notes rising slowly, almost unsure of themselves. You don't know who's playing. You don't need to. The music isn't for anyone. It's for the air, for the dust, for the moment. You carry a basket, with you mostly empty now. Just a few bits of old bread, a cloth that needs rinsing, and a handful of crushed herbs you've been meaning to sort. Not urgent, nothing is now. The neighbour's fire is starting. A small curl of smoke rises above the wall, carrying the scent of ash and dry wood. You pass slowly, nodding at the woman who tends it. She nods back, her hands busy with a pot, her face relaxed in the glow. This is the hour between shadows, when light still clings to surfaces, but gives no warmth. It's not day anymore, but it's not night either. It's something in between, something sacred in its dimness. You move toward the canal basket, balanced on your hip. The path is familiar, worn smooth, from feet like yours. The light casts everything in gold, then rose, then something close to blue. Even the dust glows for a moment, before disappearing into itself. At the water's edge, you crouch. The surface is still, catching the last of the sky. You dip the cloth in, wring it out slowly, let the water fall back in careful threads. The ripples move outward, then disappear. Someone joins you, a young girl this time, no more than 12, with hands that mirror your own. She says nothing, just kneels beside you. You hand her the cloth. She takes it, rinses, wring, fold, repeat. The motion binds you together even in silence. A frog calls from somewhere across the canal. Then another, then another. The night is arriving. One breath at a time. You stand. The girl stands too. She offers the cloth back, but you shake your head. She keeps it. That is the lesson. You walk home with nothing in your hands but the sound of your own steps. It's enough. Because here in this slow hour, your breath becomes the story, and every inhale is a kind of prayer. The light outside begins to flatten. No more golden glow, no more dancing shadows. Just a softening of everything. The lines between house and sky, between wall and path begin to blur. You stand at your doorway and breathe it in. This moment, this in-between, inside the clay walls hold what little heat remains. You sit near the center of the room, where the air is still and quiet. A small bowl of lentils rests in your lap, cool, cooked long ago. You eat slowly, each bite bland, familiar enough. There's no hurry now, nothing pulling you forward. Just this, the meal, the stillness, the day folding itself inward. You light a small lamp, the flame trembling against the oil-soaked wick. It flickers once, then again, then holds. Its glow reaches the edges of the room, but doesn't chase the dark. It only meets it gently, as if to say, I see you. I'm not afraid. Outside, the sound of sandals against earth grows fewer. Voices drop into whispers. A baby cries, then quiets. Someone sings a lullaby off-key, but full of warmth. You smile. You gather the herbs from your basket, crush the leaves gently between your fingers, letting the scent rise into the air. Basil, mint, a bit of dry chamomile. You place a pinch of each in a shallow dish near the window where the night air can find it. Their smell, faint but steady, becomes part of the room. You stretch out on the mat, not fully, just enough. Your body lets go slowly first, the shoulders, then the spine, then the hips. Your feet are still dusty, your hands stained from the day. You don't wash them, not yet. You like the feeling of proof, of belonging. The girl from the canal passes your door. You hear her steps, lighter now, more certain. She doesn't knock, but she lingers just long enough for you to know she's there. You don't call out, but in your heart you offer her a blessing, one she will never hear, but might still feel. The lamp flickers again. A breeze has entered. You feel it on your neck, like a hand, like a thought. You pull a shawl over your shoulders. Its weight is soft, worn, just right. You close your eyes, not to sleep, not yet, but to rest, to feel the day, not through motion, but through memory. Your arms still remember the jar you carried. Your knees remember the weight of kneeling. Your lips remember the bread. Your ears remember the hush. And your soul remembers the fading light. The room darkens gradually, not because of the flame, but because the sky itself is folding. You watch the walls dissolve into shadow. The corners soften, the ceiling disappear. Night doesn't fall here, it gathers. You sit up again, not out of urgency, but out of ritual. There's something about this hour that asks for presence. You lift a bowl of herbs now, mostly scent and memory, and set it near your sleeping space. Its fragrance lingers faint green, a whisper of something beyond the walls. Outside, the last sounds of the village ebb like the tide, the clink of pottery, a soft laugh, a closing door, the kind of closure that only dusk knows how to give. You move slowly through your space, folding cloth, adjusting the mat, brushing dust from the window ledge. Every motion small, every purpose gentle. These are not chores, they're offerings to yourself, to the day, to the hush that's arrived to wrap around you. You sit once more, legs folded, hands resting gently in your lap. No thoughts now, just the breath, in, out, and the knowing that it was a full day. Not spectacular, not remarkable, but full. A moth flutters near the lamp, circles once, then settles on the wall. Its wings barely move. You watch it. And for some reason, it feels like a message. Something about fragility and rest and the power of not flying. The air is cooler now, not by much, but enough. You pull the shawl tighter. Its weight is familiar, like a hand on your back. Steady, soft. You lie down fully this time. The mat adjusts beneath you. Your breath shifts. The earth holds you. There is no need to review the day. It already lives in your limbs, in the dirt beneath your nails, in the curve of your back. You don't need to remember it. You've carried it. Your eyes close gently, not pulled by sleep, but invited, welcomed. And in that moment when breath meets earth, when silence meets skin, when dusk finally becomes night, you let go, because you are safe, you are whole. And here in this village, in this hour, under this sky, you rest. Night arrives in layers, not as a single moment, but as a folding of warmth into quiet. From beyond the village walls, a breeze moves in slow warm, carrying the scent of wood smoke, woven cloth, and something else, the hum of togetherness. The kind that rises not from words but from closeness. You step outside, drawn by instinct. The stars haven't shown themselves yet, but the sky is softening. The courtyard glows faintly, lit by a few low lamps and the shimmer of conversation. You walk slowly, following the sound of neighbours settling in. Voices like threads tying one home to another. A woman sits near the hearth, grinding spices in a shallow bowl. Her child leans into her side, half awake. She looks up at you and smiles. You return it not with your mouth, but with your presence. That's how care is exchanged here. Without formality, just by being near. You find your spot, a low stone bench, warmed by the day. Around you, a few others have gathered. No one says, "Come sit." You already belong. Someone brings a cup of tea, warm, thin, fragrant, with mint. You sip it slowly. The flavor doesn't linger on your tongue. It lingers in your chest, like a reminder. Across from you, an elder begins to speak. His voice is not strong, but it carries. He tells a story of the year the river ran too low, and the people shared their water anyway. Of the night the child was born too early, and 3 women stayed awake to hold her through the cold. Of the time the storm bent the roof, and many hands rebuilt it by morning. You listen, not to the words alone, but to the pauses between them, the silences that say just as much. There is a rhythm to it, like breathing, like prayer. A neighbour passes with a clay jug, pouring water into shallow bowls near each doorway. Not because anyone is thirsty, but because the act itself is a kind of blessing. You nod to her. She nods back. The water reflects the sky, now pale, trembling, sacred. Someone begins to hum, low, deep. It's not a song you know, but it knows you. It weaves around the fire, through the folds of garments, across the baskets of dates and lentils waiting to be shared. Children lay on mats nearby, heads resting against folded arms. One whispers something funny, the other giggles, then quiet again. They don't need to be told to sleep. The air does it for them. You close your eyes for a moment, and in the darkness behind your lids, you see the glow of lamplight, the shimmer of dust, the outline of the people around you. A man near the doorway begins the evening prayer, not loudly, not performatively, just steadily. You don't speak, but your breath follows the cadence. His words float into the sky. You add your own, not aloud, but in your heart. You ask not for gold, not for glory, just more mornings. More sun on clay, more hands that pass you the basket before you ask. More nights like this, when the world feels round and known and whole. You ask for the old woman who coughs in the night, for the young boy who works too hard too soon, for the goat who limps but still follows the herd. You ask for the fire to stay warm. You ask for the walls to hold strong. You ask for the days to stretch just a little longer, and then silence again. Someone exhales deeply. Another adjusts their shawl. A clay bowl clinks against stone. All of it, music. You open your eyes. The elder has stopped speaking. The fire has dimmed, but no one leaves, not yet. You stay in the hush, in the feeling of having been together. Not with noise, but with trust. One by one, the lamps are put out. Not all at once, just gradually, as if the village is blinking, slowly, preparing to dream. You return to your doorway. The walls breathe with heat. The mat waits. Your hands are cool now. Your chest is full, not heavy, not aching, just full. You step inside. Behind you, the sound of a last laugh, the drag of a broom, a child asking a question no one answers. You sit, you close your eyes, and in your mind the words rise again. May the fire stay warm. May the walls hold strong. May we wake to one more sunrise. You lie down now, not because you're tired, but because the earth beneath you calls softly, as if to say it's time. The mat is familiar, the texture, the scent, the way it remembers the curve of your body, just enough to welcome you back. The clay wall beside you still holds some warmth from the day. Not too much, just enough to remind you that the sun was here and will come again. Outside, the world begins to quiet in deeper tones. The voices have softened, the doors have closed, even the goats have settled into hush. You hear the faintest rustle a breeze through dry leaves, a child turning in sleep, the breath of a home letting go of its day. You shift just slightly. The fabric beneath your cheek is rough, but not uncomfortable. It holds your skin like it knows you. You let your eyes close again, not to escape, but to listen more deeply. In your mind, you return to the river, not as it was, but as it is now. Moonlight brushing the surface, reeds swaying like lullabies, a frog calling, once then falling silent. You're not there, but some part of you still is. The room is dark now. The small lamp near the wall has burned low. Its glow no longer reaches the corners, and still, you feel no fear. Darkness doesn't hide here. It holds, it wraps, it cradles. Your breath slows, not because you force it, but because it no longer needs to be fast. There's nothing to carry, nothing to lift, nothing to answer, just this rest. The prayers whispered earlier still linger, not as words, but as feeling. You remember them not with your mind, but with your chest. That warmth, that pleading, that hope, it's still here, inside you. You think of the girl from the canal, the way her hands moved, the silence between you. You wonder if she's sleeping now, if her dreams are soft, if her breath has found its own rhythm. You wonder if the elder's voice still echoes in someone's ears, or if the story he told has already dissolved into night. None of it matters, and all of it does, because the life you live today, with its dust and bread and shade and breath, is real. You were there, you moved through it, and now it moves through you. You curl just slightly, let your knees bend, let your spine soften, the way the reeds bend with the wind not breaking, just listening. Outside, someone coughs once, then nothing. The village has gone still, and you have become part of that stillness. You are not alone in this night. Even with your eyes closed, you can feel it, the presence of others, sleeping near behind walls of clay and straw in spaces like yours, shaped by hands like yours. Some curl close to the fire, some breathe beside children, some whisper final thoughts to the darkness, hoping the night might carry them farther than words ever could. And you lie here with the weight of nothing and the weight of everything all at once. The mat beneath you does not creak, it welcomes. The room does not echo, it listens. The silence does not press, it releases. Somewhere nearby, an old jar shifts, perhaps from the wind, perhaps from memory. It makes no sound you can name, but your body hears it, as if the village itself is exhaling. Slowly, you shift slightly, your hands resting just beneath your ribs. That spot where breath begins, that spot where trust lives. A breeze moves through the room, now gentle, honest, familiar. It smells faintly of crushed grain and ash, and maybe something floral. The herbs from earlier, still resting near the window, have given their scent to the dark, and it comforts you. You see the day again, not in pictures, but in feeling. The walk to the river, the heat on your arms, the laugh you almost didn't laugh, the bread cracked, dense, shared, the girl's cloth between your fingers, the firelight near the courtyard, all of it still here, not gone, just quiet now. Your muscles loosen, not from exhaustion, but from permission. The earth beneath you does not ask for stillness. It offers it. You do not fight sleep. You receive it. Because you have done enough. You are enough. The village sleeps. The sky watches. The dust rests. And you, with your breath like a whisper, your bones soft in their place, your thoughts no longer rushing, you dissolve into the gentleness of night. Nothing chases you. Nothing calls for you. You are where you should be. You are safe. In your last waking thought, there is no story, no task unfinished, no name to call, only this floating, this being, this surrender. The shadows have deepened, not into darkness, but into velvet, a softness that touches every surface, every breath without weight. Your toes stretch, once then still, your spine settles into the mat. Your fingers lie loose open to the air, and in the hush, you remember how the jar felt balanced on your hip, how the water cooled your skin, how the wind moved through the reeds like secret. You remember the old woman's prayer, not the words, but the hush that followed. You remember the smile passed from hand to hand, across dust, across time. And you know, nothing was small. Everything mattered. Every moment held you. Every silence was sacred. Outside now, even the wind has quieted. The animals sleep. The stars blink above like slow, steady heartbeats. A child turns in her sleep, sighing into a dream. A goat curls against the wall, breathing evenly. The fire in the hearth has become embers. Not gone, just resting. And you are there with them. You do not need to dream. The day itself was a dream, soft, long, real. You do not need to seek peace. It's already here, in your breath, in the rhythm of your chest, in the hush behind your thoughts. No voices call, no lamps burn, no footsteps pass. Only this moment, only this peacefulness. And so now, you let go of dust, of weight, of waking, of worry, and you float through the quiet, through the warmth, through the memory of sun on clay. And you whisper to yourself, or maybe to the night itself, I'm still here. One more day, again softer, I'm still here. One more day, and now may you rest as peacefully as those who lived long ago under the sky, beside the river, in the arms of stillness.